much, and good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Denzel McCampbell, your newly elected District 7 council member. Thank you so much for the honor of serving you. I just want to first thank the folks here at Central Baptist Church for hosting us, and thank you all for joining us on this very important deed fraud town hall. Thank you to our panelists. And please let's give a hand for Council Member Mary Waters and her fabulous staff here. A shout out also to District 7 resident, also a member of her staff, Joanna Underwood, for really making sure that we taking this across the city. So thank you so much, Joanna. And also to a D7 resident, Bobby Johnson, for she came to me and said, we have to make sure that we have this. And I thank again Member Waters for coming to District 7. This is such an important town hall because many of you may know that District 7 ranks among the top districts of folks who have experienced deed fraud. And as we talk about the housing crisis that we are facing here in Detroit, but also across the country, is not only making sure that folks get access to truly affordable housing, is making sure that we keep folks in their home and protect folks from folks who are trying to take advantage of seniors, vulnerable population, trying to take advantage of everyone. And we know that housing is one that provides economic security for folks. Housing is something that provides generational wealth for people, and housing is a basic need for our folks. So deed fraud is something that flies in the face of that. It's something that we must enact tools to stop. But as we'll talk about here today, is give folks the information and education to make sure we're protecting ourselves. I know you all are out here today and really appreciate you being here, but I will start off with a task for all of us. The information that we learned here today, if you can share it with 3 people that may not be in the room, right? Share with your neighbors on a block that may be have lived in their homes for decades, right? That may not have checked their deed. Let's share this information with folks. Let's take the resources and phone numbers and such and contact information that our panelists will share, and let's really educate the members of our community. So again, you all are not here for me. You are here to get the information. So I thank you all for being here, and we'll make sure that you get our office contact information. But without further ado, let's get into the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's give it up for Councilmember McCampbell one more time. Thank you. At this time, we are going to bring up a longtime housing and human rights activist who is the senior policy advisor for the Office of Councilmember Mary Waters at Large. I'm proud to introduce to you Ms. Joanna Underwood.
All right, D7. Oh, y'all kind of low on here. I know we ain't got this many. People said we're gonna sit this one out. We got one more in District 5 and then we're done. So make sure all the information that you hear today, take it to your church, take it to your neighbors. All this should be filled up right now because D7 has 86 active cases right now in this district alone. 86 people already been victims. 86 people already probably lost their homes and would never get it back. Those was the people who reported it. It could have been many more in this area that was victims and just didn't report it. So that is definitely real. We're going to take questions and answers at the end. So I have a question for you. When the last time you looked at your deeds? You knew you was coming here, but when is the last time y'all looked at y'all deeds? Every year. Okay, you one person. How many other people then looked at their deed? Every few months. Okay, how many homeowners in the room? Okay, so y'all all homeowners and y'all all look at your deeds, right? Okay, so can somebody tell me what kind of deed do you got? Do you know if you got a quit claim deed or a warranty deed? I heard quit, I heard warranty. Okay, how many of you don't even know what kind of deed you got? If I ask you, How much is your property taxes every year? You'll tell me just like this. How much you get paid in property taxes? What's your property taxes? You know your property taxes, right? Yeah, you can tell me the number right off. I know how much I pay per year. Well, you got to take the same position when it comes up to your deed. You got to know what's going on with your deed. You'll call, you'll figure out what's going on with your taxes, but you don't call and figure out what's going on with your deed. And this is what this information session is all about. Trying to make sure that you are aware at all times what's going on with your property. That deed states that you are the owner of the property. That is your generational wealth. That is your inheritance that you will pass down to your children or your grandchildren. So you got to know what's going on with your property. Now, we're going to talk about quitclaim deeds and warranty deeds. We also going to talk about how to protect those deeds. But before I get started on that, I want to talk about how we got here. How we got here when it comes up to the city of Detroit home ownership, especially in the Black American community. In the Black American community, the majority of the property that was purchased 50 or 60 some years ago was done either by cash or land contract. The reason for that, because we know historically housing discrimination prohibited mortgage loans to be given to Black American people. We know this because we had to pass a Fair Housing Act back in the 1960s, I believe. The Fair Housing Act was created for the purpose of making sure that Black American people get the opportunity to buy homes, to become homeowners, because the lending practices of the bank did not allow people to home loans, more so take their money and warehouse it in their banks, not lending it back out. Banks are financial lending institutions. Financial lending institutions. They must lend the money back out. In the Black American community, we know today in the past, that's still a problem today. This what led to a lot of our homeowners here in the city of Detroit, especially the ones that came from up south, escaping segregation and Jim Crow. They worked in the factories, they worked hard, and guess what? They tried to buy homes, got denied from the banks, they took their cash money, or they got into a land contract and they bought a house. But guess what deed they was given in return? A quitclaim deed. Why is that important? Because quitclaim deed is not the best deed to do real estate transaction. Quitclaim deed is better served in transferring property to family, not real estate transaction. I repeat, please, if you don't take nothing else from this, everybody that's doing real estate transaction, quitclaim deeds is better served to pass down to families. You title the house over to your family, not real estate transaction, okay? So quitclaim deeds are more subject to fraud. It's easier for these scammers to scam it. The state of Michigan record the highest numbers of quitclaim deeds in the country. I repeat, Michigan, the state of Michigan has the highest number of quitclaim deeds in the country is recorded, okay? And likely, once we get the official data back, which we already requested, we'll know exactly how many quitclaim deeds we have in the city of Detroit and how many warranty deeds we have in the city of Detroit. That's very important for us to know so we can move and be proactive and not reactive, because we don't know if you got robbed until you get robbed. You don't know until you become a victim. The only way we're going to be able to end deed fraud is by educating the homeowners and the buyers in the city of Detroit, by doing these kind of information sessions, by you going out, talking to your neighbors, getting them to understand the importance of protecting their property. Knowledge is power, and the more power we have, the more we can protect our home and our generational wealth. Now, I ask this question to almost every meeting. To the elders, do you want to be the last generation to be homeowners in the city of Detroit? I want to hear you. I want to ask that question again because your grandchildren and your children depending on this on your response. Do you want to be the last generation of Black American people to own property here in this city? No. So how are you going to do it? How are you going to protect your property? You're going to protect your property by learning this information. Take the notes down. If you don't understand something, that's okay. We're here to help you understand, to process this information. It's going to be a lot to digest. We got one more coming up on Saturday, and then we're going to do a review. And believe me, we're going to do follow-ups for everybody to sign in, okay? My name is Joanna Underwood. I'm the housing specialist and senior policy analyst on behalf of Councilmember Mary Waters. And I'm here to, Ms. Waters just got here. So let's give a round of applause to Ms. Waters. And I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Santana Hill.
Thank you. Thank you, Joanna. Let's please give a round of applause for Ms. Underwood. Thank you. Our council member has joined us. Councilmember Waters, thank you. I'm going to turn it over to council member for opening remarks, and then you'll hear me again.
Well, hello, everyone. I just want to say thank you so very much for taking the time to come out to educate yourselves and then help us to educate others throughout our communities. You do know it is about generational wealth. You know it's legacy. It's about dignity. And so that's the message that we have to spread around. We have to be good neighbors and help each other out. Some people who were not able to join us today, either in person or online, let us pass the word and so that we can help others. And I'm so very grateful to all of our panelists that are here today. We appreciate it. They've been so diligent in terms of just coming out to make sure that you have information to help protect your properties. And so it is certainly an honor to be here in District 7 with my colleague, member Matt Campbell. So, and with that, Santana, thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Waters. Let's give it up for both of our council members. And just so you know, we have approximately 84 participants with us today on Zoom. So thank you so much for spreading the word. So my name's Santana Hill, and I'm the Chief of Staff for Councilmember Mary Waters, and I've also been a housing advocate for quite a bit of time. And the reason you all are here today is to learn how to protect your greatest asset, which is your home. All across the country, we are being notified that deed fraud scams are on the rise. Those of you sitting before me today have spent your lives working to pay for an asset, and in an instant, it can be away. But there are things that we can do to protect ourselves. Tonight, you're going to learn some key terms, so pull out that pen and a piece of paper. And I want you to write some things down for me. The first term I'd like you to write down is title. Title, T-I-T-L as in Larry, E, title. Quick, don't preempt the presentation. I know you know what you're doing, but everybody else don't. The next term I'd like you guys to write down is quit claim deed. That is Q-U-I-T as in Tom, claim, C-L-A-I-M, deed. D as in dog, E-E-D. After that, you're going to write down warranty deed. Warranty deed. Now, here's a special one that you're going to hear about. Ladybird deed. Write down ladybird deed. Your final two terms are title search title search, and title insurance. Title insurance. Each of our panelists tonight is going to teach you about each of those terms from where we sit in our government and in our private sector. But why is this important? Why is this important? This is important because if you do not have ownership or title, that's one of your key terms, right? There are things you're not going to be able to do. You're not going to be able to negotiate for a payment plan with the Wayne County Treasurer's Office if you don't have title to the property. You're not going to be able to take out a home equity line of credit for renovations or for critical home repairs. And you're not going to be able to leave generational wealth to those who come behind you. So that's why tonight you're going to hear from Ted Phillips of the United Community Housing Coalition. You're going to hear from Cross and from 36th District Court. You're going to hear from Emma Elder from Detroit Title and Escrow. You're going to hear from Suzanne Fanning of Suzanne Fanning PC. And you're going to hear from Harry, whose last name I butcher every time. Pick up the mic and say it for us. Harry Kalajarakis from the Deputy Register of Deeds. Each one of these people has something to give you to show you how to protect yourself. And I ask that you get your pen and paper and listen for those key terms and write down all of your questions because we will have time for open Q&A towards the end of the session. Again, my name is Santana Hill, and for the next 10 minutes, you're going to listen to the wise counsel of Ted Phillips of the United Community Housing Coalition.
Yeah, my Phillips, I'm the director of the United Community Housing Coalition, and the other thing you hope are some places to get help because it's one to make sure that professionals help you for free. United Community Housing Coalition is a nonprofit in Detroit. We've been a little and we do a number of different things. One of them is we provide legal representation in 36th District Court for eviction cases, for tenants, for land contract buyers. Sometimes deed fraud issues are surfacing at that level. I mean, that's the first time we're seeing them. I'm going to give you an example of one. Well, that's even worse. Hello? Okay. I'm the test on the mics today, I guess. Anyway, so we appear in 36th District Court. We're one of 5 other agencies that are there. There's 20,000 cases a year that are filed in it now. There used to be 30 before COVID. So there's a lot of cases there. About a quarter of those end up in defaults. That means tenants didn't show up. So we also do some case management. Part of that is outreach, knock on doors when people miss their hearing. Part of it is to work with them to try to get resolutions if they have some financial needs. Sometimes we can provide limited help there or connect them up with other resources. Sometimes they're living in homes that, even though they have good legal defenses to stay in that home with 2 feet of raw sewage in the basement and no working furnace, they shouldn't be there. So we work with them to help them relocate. So that's one thing we do. Another thing we do, and something at the moment far more important even than the issue we're here for tonight, and that is tax foreclosure. If you know anyone who got a yellow bag notice, October through December, they are in jeopardy of losing their home by March 31st of this year. There's a number of things that can be done there. I believe Deputy Treasurer Cotton is here tonight to talk about some of those. We work as an advocate to help people connect them up with payment plans, get extensions, get reductions in taxes, all of those kinds of things. We also have a program that even if you lose your home, it's called the Make It Home program, and many of these have applied to tenants who are living in tax foreclosed homes. We've been able to get 1,700 homes out of foreclosure after foreclosure, but before the fall auctions by working with the city to buy those homes and get them in people's hands for as little as $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. We do some homeowner counseling. That's not our primary function, but we do some with mortgages. Many of our clients are not able to get mortgages for reasons that Ms. Underwood mentioned, but also just their incomes are such that they won't qualify. We work to help people get deeds drafted, documents filed for property transfer affidavits, principal residency exemptions. When you buy a home, those are two things that need to be filed. We also deal with land contracts a lot, filing them. One of the worst laws in the state, which I hope eventually can someday get changed, is that you can't record your land contract if there's any taxes owing on your property, which is sort of ridiculous, but you can record a memorandum of land contracts. So we do a lot of those. When there's nothing that can be recorded, to make sure that you have your name out there and your interest in that property recorded, we can file what's called a claim of interest. That at least puts on notice anybody buying your property from a scam artist or something that you have something to do with it too, and they should be engaging in further research. We do some land, what we call land contract buyouts. Land contracts can be a horrible attack on people. There was a study done a little while ago, 2023, of homes sold on land contract between 2010 and 2015. And the study concluded about 5% was all of the land contract buyers who bought from out-of-state, out-of-country investors that were ever able to get their deeds. It was twice that good if it was Detroit investors and Michigan investors. Yeah, that means it was 10%. Most land contracts fail, and that is unfortunate. For a lot of reasons, we engage in litigation with those, but we also have a buyout program, a very small one, but to try to intervene to buy out and give them a chance to own their home after a lot of work has been put into it. We've experienced deed fraud over the years in a lot of different ways. I'm glad to see that there's a lot of renewed interest in that and more emphasis put on it right now. One of our partner agencies, Michigan Legal Services, had a good example of last August. Because we're at the court, we encounter people there. We had a case in Juan, had a case where the person showed up and said, I don't know why I'm here. I'm the owner of this property. Why am I being evicted? She checked the court file, discovered that there was a deed from a group called Holy Something that looked like a religious institution and couldn't possibly be scamming anybody, right? From Holy Something to themselves, which was already a weird kind of thing. And there was a notice of tax foreclosure in the file, which made no sense because that really didn't mean anything. Well, that person did own. We were able to get that case dismissed. The attorney representing the proprietor of the Holy LLC said at first hearing, well, I've got other documentation showing they own it. They didn't, and they lost. But we didn't stop there. Suzanne checked other files and discovered that there were 4 other cases that were filed by that same LLC. One of them involved a 70-year-old woman who had lived in her home since she was 10 years old. She wasn't staying there at the time because she had repairs being done. She was with a daughter. She didn't even know anything about the hearing. So our door knocking did get to her and managed to have that case dismissed as well. 2 of the others were dismissed. One, unfortunately, was evicted in June before we were aware of any of this happening. The case was sent over to the Deed Fraud Task Force, and I understand that they're working diligently to prosecute that particular scam artist. These are the things we see by being in the court, things that we see in terms of cases to be mindful of. Tax foreclosure is a time that really one where deed fraud scam come out of the woodworks a lot, in part because they think that people think they lost their home for tax foreclosure and they'll just go away. They will intervene, forge deeds, and then go to the Wayne County Treasurer. Who doesn't know it's a forged move from tax foreclosure? They'll get that, then sell to somebody else, and the unsuspecting party losing their home to tax foreclosure won't even know it. Of course, they come to us or come to another organization, find out, So that's something in yellow bits is there are people that we should be talking to for a variety of reasons. It can be a stage problem, not only with lead fraud, but with fake landlords renting it out. If you're renting or buying for someone who never seems to have an office, doesn't have a, you're at the house, in money, thing, those are, we have one of those that Olympic home was sold on in action. You get a purchase from a seller that gives you an unrecordable document for one reason or another. For one reason or another, it's unrecorded. They give it to you unrecorded, so you won't be able to. Then that party sells to another party. So a good reason for, if you've got something that's not recordable, best thing to do is to get help before you get into that. But if you've got something that's not recordable, at least get to something of that to get it recorded. Maybe do some research also to see whether or not you've gotten yourself into a problem. Land contract sales are particular. They're not necessarily legal fraud, but they're misunderstood very often. And it's good to get help before you get into a land contract. Very often, interest and things like that are not understood. Basic things to be aware of: make sure you record your document. If you're buying, make sure you've checked with the Wayne County Register of Deeds. Some folks will talk later about title insurance. It is always great to get that. Make sure you've recorded your interest. If someone is claiming ownership and giving you notice to come to 36th District Court, don't just throw up. That's ridiculous. I'm the owner. I don't need to go there. No, you absolutely need to go there. If you're making payments, one of the problems with land contracts, if you're making payments, make sure you're doing so in a way that you can document that you've made them, and try to get updates on what your balance is. I'll stop at that point. I'll be here afterwards if you want to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted Phillips. Let's give him a round of applause. But for the people on Zoom, can you please provide the contact information for UCHC for our participants on Zoom?
For those here, there's some flyers in back. For those wanting to call, 313-963-3310. That will give a variety of different numbers that you can call for tax, for legal, for various other things. Thank you. 313-963-3310. If you're here, though, get one of the flyers in back. There's other numbers and there's some online stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from our Deputy Register of Deeds, who's going to tell you a little bit about how you can protect yourself using their office, as well as tell you about their rights and responsibilities.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Harry Kalajarakis. I am the Chief Deputy Register of Deeds. I've been to a few of these town halls. They're awesome, and I want to thank Councilmember Waters and today Councilmember McCampbell for hosting us today. This is important information. Youngblood, Register of Deeds, is actually on his way back from Virginia, where he was making a presentation to an industry group regarding deed fraud. It's something that, unfortunately, we have too much experience with in our office. And we are the Register of Deeds. You've heard me talk about record your deed. So let me start by explaining our job. We are charged with making an accurate record, a duplicate of all deeds and other instruments that are recorded against real estate, and to catalog those documents so that they can be easily served by anybody in the public. By making that record, people like Emma, who you'll hear about, who have a title company, can search our records to find out what's going on with a piece of property, who is the rightful owner, what any liens might be recorded against that, whether it be mortgages or tax liens or anything else out there, judgment liens. These are all recorded in our office and we make the record. Now, because we're making a record, we have to be hands off. We have to be objective. We can't be involved in any of these documents. Our job is to make an accurate reproduction. And we do that. But because of that, one of the things that our hands are tied about is we are forbidden by law to verify any of the information on a document. When we get a document that comes into our office that says you sold your property and you're not there in front of us, or it comes in by mail, we can't take the time to call you up and say, did you really sell your property? We have to accept that at face value. If all the pieces are there, we have to accept that document and record it. So we recognize that this is a problem, though. So there are various ways that we can help you protect yourself. Number one, we have a system in place, and there's flyers back at the table. I hope you get them. We have property alerts. This is an online service that when you register for the property alert service, you put in your name, put in an email address, create an account, and you can put in, we call them keywords. One of them would be your name. It could be, if you're married, your spouse's name too. Your address. You can put those in out there, and whenever we get a document in our office that is recorded with those keywords on there, you will get an email that says, hey, a document was recorded with your name on it. And sometimes those are red flags or false alerts, because there are a lot of common names out there. But at least you get something, and you can call our office and check it out. And let me give you a number. You would call our deed fraud unit, and their number is 313-224-5869. One more time, 313-224-5869. Now, I want to warn you, when you call that line, it's an answering service. And so please leave a message, leave your name, leave the property that you're concerned about, a good callback number, and we return the calls generally within 1 business day. And we can review the information that you have, see what's happening, look to see if that's your property, if it's something that, oh yes, that's some business I conducted, I see that it's recorded, that's good. Oh, this is a different person by the same name, different property I have nothing to do with, fine. Or, wait a second, that is my property and I didn't do that. Let's get to work. And one of the things that we did was create this deed fraud unit. It's a joint task force with our office, the Register of Deeds, with the sheriff's office, and with the prosecutor's office. And we'll have you come in and we'll review these documents in person if you have a complaint. And again, one of the things that number I gave you is the deed fraud number, but also on this form, there's a QR code that you can do an online submission for deed fraud. And we'll refer this, and if this is a problem, if it looks like it is fraud, we will refer it to the prosecutor for a criminal investigation, and also give you names of numbers for Lakeshore Legal Services and United Community Housing Coalitions, that you could call them for legal advice also, because you should consult an attorney if there's a problem, even if there's going to be a criminal investigation on your property. Now, one of the other things that we have is a free online search service. So you can go in, when you go to our website, you can also sign up, do a free, once you have that account, do a free online search based on your name and look and see what documents are out there. And that's one way that you can check and see what's happening with your property. The other thing is, but this is our job. That's what our job is. We make a record. We have to record these documents so that the public can see what's happening with real estate. And we want to make it accessible for you so that you can monitor what's happening out there. As I said, we are prohibited from giving out, turning down a document if we think it's fraudulent. We have to accept documents that meet the recording requirements. Let me just tell you one other thing real quick. I know we've got to wrap up. some things that are not deed fraud that people try to call us about, we cannot help you with the landlord tenant. If you think your landlord doesn't own your property, that's not something we can help you with. We can't help you with foreclosures to investigate those things. But let me close by giving you some information to get to our office. First of all, let me tell you about our website. The website address is Wayne County Land Records.com. It's all one word, run it together, Wayne County Land Records.com. We also have an email address if you want to just send a general email about doing a search for your deed. It's ROD for Register of Deeds, ROD help at waynecounty.com. ROD help at waynecounty.com. Finally, if you want to call our answer line, it's 313-224-5851. 313-224-5851. So I want to let you know, we take our job very seriously in making accurate, searchable records for everybody to find the property records here in Wayne County. And we will help you find the information that you need about your property. So contact us at any time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much to our Deputy Register of Deeds and all of the elected officials who have committed to helping us with this issue. Now, as you know, the way property transfers is a function of the law, and we have several state lawmakers who are sponsoring some bill packages to help us deal with that. But speaking of the law, we have with us today David Cross, the General Counsel of 36th District Court, and Judge Ponce Clay, who will now talk to you for the next 10 minutes about what they see regarding deed fraud within 36th District Court. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is David Cross. I'm the General Counsel for the 36th District Court. And generally what that means is for the court, I advise and work for 29 judges, 5 of whom are on our landlord-tenant docket. And the landlord-tenant docket has to deal with landlords and tenants having disputes over rent, possession of property, those types of things. And so our landlord-tenant judges hear those cases on a daily basis. The 36th District Court overall is a court of limited jurisdiction. And so why I mention that is because limited jurisdiction means with respect to deed fraud is the court is limited in terms of what it can do. And Judge Clay who hears these cases all day, every day of the week, can expound on this more. But we cannot, the judges on the 36th District Court cannot decide who owns the property or not, much like the Register of Deeds has to accept the filings without questioning them for the most part. But the law says that if you claim to be a property owner and you file a case to evict the tenant or to regain possession of your property, the court deals with possession only. So either the cases come in and you either have to pay your rent and you can maintain residency, or sometimes the landlord just wants you out for various reasons. They've claimed that you violated the lease or some other provisions of the law, and they just want you out. But the person filing the suit, in this case, the landlord, the plaintiff, has to prove that they own the property if it's challenged. And so the court requires them to file some proof of ownership. A lot of times, the great majority of the time, it is a deed. Sometimes it is a land contract where the person comes in and says, I'm buying this property from somebody else on land contract. And so I bring in my land contract to show all of the details to show why I'm the proper person to bring the lawsuit. If that document is there, then the court can decide who is entitled to possession. And there's a difference between possession and ownership. The court is not determining who owns the property. If there's a dispute about whether or not the plaintiff owns the property, most of the time, and again, Judge Clay can expound on this, will say you tell them that you have to go and file a what's called a quiet title action in a court of higher jurisdiction, which is a Wayne County Circuit Court for the purposes of Detroit. So we do see, and I think Ted Phillips mentioned this, we do see the judges do see a lot of deed fraud from time to time, where actual owners are being attempted to be evicted from the premises. But oftentimes, most of the time, it's just the tenant who comes in and says, I got this paperwork, I did my research and found out that these people who are trying to evict me are not the actual owners of the property. They don't have a right to possession, they don't have a right to evict me, et cetera. And depending on how that hearing goes, then the court could dismiss the case and say that the landlord does not have a right to, or hasn't filed the proper paperwork, if you will, because there's no proof of ownership in the file. Or if there are competing deeds, the judge will likely adjourn the case and let them, sort of fight it out in the Wayne County Circuit Court. But it's important to understand that this is something we see on a fairly regular basis. And it is important that you stay on top of, especially if you're an owner, but also if you're a tenant, stay on top of your transaction with the property owner. You enter into a lease, go do some research to find out whether or not the person, there's a proper property management company who has the right to manage the property on behalf of the actual owner. You may want to take some time, and I know you can do it online now, do a deed search to figure out what's what. And having said that, I'm going to hand it back over to Judge Clay, who actually makes the decisions. And I know why he's reluctant, because he's one of the newest judges on the bench.
Test. Got it. Thank you. My name is Ponce Clay. I'm 36th District Court Judge here in Detroit. I'm assigned to the Landlord-Tenant Division. I hear cases that involve landlord-tenant cases, also land contract forfeiture, as well as in some cases, land contract forfeiture. On the landlord-tenant side of the house, generally a alleged landlord or a plaintiff brings a case forward seeking a possession of the property and or payment or repayment of past rent. One of the things that I take a look at, and a little bit on the background, prior to being appointed by Governor Whitmer on this bench, I represented landlords and tenants in practice in 36th District Court as a landlord-tenant attorney. So I have some perspective both sides that way. Additionally, I also practiced in probate. And then finally, formerly a real estate broker. And so I have a sense of the spectrum from various angles, but I don't do that when I'm on the bench. I only examine what's brought before me. I only can examine what's brought before me. I'm impartial. I make no decisions until I've taken a look at the totality of what's presented. And then, of course, based on the law, and I throw a little common sense in there, that I make decisions. So from a perspective of the deed, what the court, and I don't know if I want to say requires, but I can tell you what I look for is that you have standing, that you can bring, this landlord can bring this case forward. Some of the things I take a look at is this proof of ownership, i.e. a deed. But when I look at the deed in the file, I generally read into the record, and I'm looking for that it's been filed with the Wayne County Register of Deeds, that it's been filed with the Wayne County Register of Deeds, not just a piece of paper that says, here, this is a deed. All right, so I examine that. Next, I examine, I take a look at the document, because the level of proof that I have to have before the court is preponderance of the evidence. But with all that aside, because of my training in the background, I'm able to examine a little bit differently, with more intent. And finally, if there's a property management agreement, I want to see that property management agreement includes the alleged owner and the property management company to see, if they can bring forth the case. And then last but not least, some cases, when I use common sense, as I say, if things just don't seem right, I may even, especially if the landlord is representing himself or herself, I've not done it with lawyers because, I mean, they're officers of the court, frankly. But if a landlord is representing himself or herself, I may even engage, if I have a little sort of instinct, I'll say, show me your ID that you in fact are the person that's listed on this deed. And twice I've had that happen, and lo and behold, that person that they presented to me was not what was on the deed. So again, that's not law per se, but what the standard is, just making sure that's what's being presented is not a fraud upon the court and will prejudice the tenant. And frankly, I just do a little bit more there. And so, yes. Now, as it relates to the land or the occupants, we're so fortunate in 36th District Court. We have agencies, Michigan Legal Services, United Community Housing Coalition, and Lakeshore, right there in room 417. And when I give advice for rights to tenants, even when we open the court, they may have gotten it via paper, they may have been told about it. I insist, please take a moment, go over to 417 to see if you qualify for your case to be, so you be represented in this case in this court. And of course, those are some sharp attorneys over there. And so some of the very things that I just spoke of, they identify. There's nothing I can say about that. Again, I don't give legal advice at all, but it is my job to ensure that there's impartiality and there's no fraud on the court. So as it relates to deed fraud, those are some of the things that I take a look at and consider what's presented to me in making my decisions in the totality of circumstances, meaning if the person presents themselves, if they have standing or they have the right or the authority to come forth, and then with the documents that they're presenting to me, as my colleagues have said, I can't determine ownership and title, but I can take a look at what's presented to me, and if it sort of meets the basic test, the basic legal tests. In some cases, finally, because of probate, if I receive an action by a probate, an estate, meaning someone's coming forth and says they have the authority on behalf of the decedent or a conservatorship, what I do is I ask for a current letter of authority from the Wayne County Probate Court, and then you get the stare again. So again, those are the types of things that I put in place in order to ensure that the matters that come before the court are legitimate and there's no fraud against the court as it relates to standing. And then we spoke about the legal agencies. Should you or if you qualify for being represented, the tenants, then they're right there in the court, and that allows a more streamlined and informed case. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge Clay and David Cross of the 36th District Court. So you heard Judge Clay and Mr. Cross talk about some amazing legal aid organizations, and we have one of those available here with us today. Now, you've heard a little bit about the law surrounding, how deed fraud happens, and you've heard a little bit about why this is important. Mike is going to talk to you about the Homes for Generations program, which ensures that after you protect your property, you protect it for your future as well. Mike Maher from Lakeshore Legal Aid will be the person you hear for the next 10 minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Santana. That was wonderful and amazing legal aid. And we are one of the amazing legal aids. So I'm Mike Maher from Lakeshore Legal Aid. If anybody has issues now, or you want to make sure you don't have issues later or for your next generation, I have some intake forms here with me tonight. You can fill it out. We'll put you in the queue to start working on your work. I have an 800 number, 888-783-8190, and that gives us the hotline to where you'll talk to somebody and then they'll triage you to the right department or the right attorney. Or you can apply online at michiganlegalhelp.org. Again, it's michiganlegalhelp.org, and tell us what your issue is, and we'll start working on it. So as Ms. Hill had said, Lakeshore Legal Aid has a Homes for Generations clinic, and that's held every once a month over in the Dearborn office. Again, if you can't make it, I just gave you 3 other ways to get a hold of us to work on it. And Mr. Phillips had said earlier, you know, where to go to get help. There are several amazing legal aids, and I just work for one of them, Lakeshore Legal Aid. But the important thing is don't ignore it. Whatever you have, get it done now, because if you don't get it done now, it gets kicked down the road, you know, kick the can down the road, and it just gets worse. One of the guys in the office is just finishing up on one where they have to go. There wasn't a will, and it skipped a couple generations before the I guess it was the grandson had come in and asked for help. And they have to go and find 15 different other people that are throughout the state. And some of them didn't even know they were cousins. So as soon as you can, let's get this fixed. So in our Homes for Generations clinic, and again, I just want to remind you, if you can't make it to the clinic, we can take care of you other ways. One of the things we do is estate planning, and there was a mention in here earlier about the ladybird deed. And the short and sweet thing on the ladybird deed is if you own the home, we'll create a deed that says, I own the home, I can sell the home, I can refinance the home, I can do whatever I want with the home. But the minute I die, it automatically transfers to the next person, you know, whoever it is, your child or the next generation. It's as simple, it's a beneficiary form, just like you do on your checking and savings accounts. When I die, transfer this money to this person. So that's a huge thing, and it'll keep you out of keep your heirs out of the probate court with that one deed. The other things we do there are powers of attorneys, which will allow somebody to sign and do certain business functions on your event if you're unable or incapable. Now, of course, once you die, then that gets extinguished as well. And I'd mentioned before the beneficiary forms on the checking and savings accounts. That's pretty big. We see a lot of times where somebody will come into probate court. Will come into our clinic, and the only thing we have to do, if it's not the home, it'll be a checking or savings account, and it'll be of such a value that we have to go to probate court. There are some instances when it's a low value and it's just fill in the blank forms, but if you do have the checking and savings accounts and you fill on, you know, transfer on death or payable on death, it's just like the ladybird deed is I can do whatever I want with the account. It's my money, but the day I die, it goes to Junior, and then Junior goes to the bank with his death certificate, and he gets the money. So that's a pretty painless way of transferring money. Mr. Cross had talked about the quiet title action. Sometimes we'll get a case where there's a wayward deed or a wild deed, and all of a sudden is not in your name. It's not in your name anymore. So how did this happen? It's fraud, but sometimes it's not fraud. I have a case now where the lady's been living in her house for 40-something years. And another gentleman in sometime in the 90s, the gentleman created a trust. His name put what he thought was his property into the trust. And what the attorney did when they drafted the quick claim deed is put my client's legal description in there. So 30 years later, my client goes to ask for a home repair, and they says, wait a minute, we have this title here, that's this quick claim deed here that says it's under this other gentleman's name. It's like, oh my gosh, what happened? So this is, I know it's not fraud, it was just terrible drafting. So I was able to actually get a hold of the attorney who drafted this document 30 years ago. I says, what's going on? He says, you know, it was a trust, and somehow we got the legal description wrong. Well, the person who had the trust, he died as well. So in any event, we get the case, we file it with the circuit court to get a quiet title action to make everything clean. So the person, my client, can now apply for grants because she has no issues with the title. Also, if the title is not correctly titled, if you have tax issues, you can't go on a payment plan. So you need the title in your name so you can go on the tax payment plans. You can get grants for repairs. If you wanted to, if you needed to, you could pull the equity out of the house. And most importantly, or equally importantly, is when you die, let's do the ladybird deed. so it transfers over to the next generation. So thank you on that. And I just have a couple things in the other, everybody's talked about this, and this is a duplicate of sorts, but I just want to mention again, here's some measures to avoid the deed fraud. The Wayne County Register of Deeds, sign up for the fraud guard. And I have a quick story on that. A personal story is I'm Mike Maher, and there's at least 3 other Wayne County people in Mike Maher. So I'm on the fraud guard. So whenever one of these guys transfers or sells or buys property, I get notification. And sometimes I want to send them a card. Congratulations on your new home. But anyhow, it seems to work. The other thing is on the for the credit agencies, put a credit freeze on your for your name, and then they also have a fraud alert. Title insurance, which will be talked about next, and then every year, Mr. Cal Ogarakos had mentioned the Wayne County Register of Deeds. Just go on the Register of Deeds, put your name in there, and see what's happening. Also, the annualcreditreport.com, every year you get a free credit report, see what's happening, and make sure your name's not popping up where it shouldn't be. And with that, again, if whoever's interested here, I have an intake form you can fill out. Otherwise, you can call 888-783-8190 and also michiganlegalhelp.org. That one, I want to say thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mike Maher from Lakeshore Legal Aid. And for our participants on Zoom, would you mind telling us when your next Homes for Generations clinic is and where?
It's in the Dearborn office off of Greenfield Road, and it is March 20. I put them up there, March 20.
That's okay. We'll come back. Just look out for the month of March for the Homes for Generations Clinic with Lakeshore Legal Aid. So now you've heard from an organization designed to help you with your legal troubles. Now you're going to hear from Emma Elder, and please keep those key terms in front of you because she's going to go through them one by one. Emma?
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. District 7. Hey. We're here. Thank you for the opportunity. You guys have clapped for everyone on the panel. How about you clap for yourselves for making attendance tonight? There we go. There we go. Why are we here? Deed fraud. How can we protect our homes? How can we protect our legacy? How can we maintain that generational wealth? That's what we want to know about, right? So we're going to dive right into that. One of the things that we want to understand is that our home ownership is our investment into ourselves and into our family, and we leave that on to our heirs. And how do we protect that? How do we prevent ourselves from becoming a victim of fraud? Early on, you were tasked with writing down some words. I'm hoping you did that. You were tasked with writing down the word quit claim deed, right? Warranty deed, title insurance. Do any of you really understand what those words mean? Okay, we'll talk about that. Deed types, the most common type of deeds that are used in real estate are quitclaim deed and warranty deeds. And as it was informed to you early on, a quitclaim deed is generally used for the purpose of transferring ownership through family members. You know, mom leaving a deed to her surviving children, or perhaps you're putting the deed into a trust or something like that. But over the years, many years of real estate, we've gotten comfortable with transferring ownership by way of a quitclaim deed. And when you hear that word quit, basically what I'm doing when I'm giving you a deed, a quitclaim deed, I'm quitting my interest if I have any. I may not even own some property. I may think I own some property. And what I'm saying is I'll give you whatever interest I have by way of a quitclaim deed in exchange for money. So if there's baggage, if there's issues, you're now taking on those issues. If I don't own the property and you go to sell the property, now you got to figure out a way to sell the property because I've gotten the money and I'm gone. So we don't want to use quitclaim deeds in that manner. What we hear a lot of is the safe route to take is to use a warranty deed. That's what we want, right? We want a warranty deed because the key Meaning of that, in that word warranty is I warrant to you as an owner of a property. I'm selling you some property. I'm warranting to you that I do in fact own that property. I do have the ability to sell that property, whether I'm selling it from an LLC, I'm selling it as an individual, I'm selling it because I inherited it from a probate. I own the property. I have the right to sell the property, and I'm selling you that property free and clear. Meaning, if there was a mortgage on that property, I've paid it off before I sell it to you. If there's outstanding property taxes, those taxes will be paid before I sell that property to you. There may be other liens. Perhaps I was in a bankruptcy at some point. My bankruptcy will no longer impact you when I sell that property. Maybe I had some IRS liens against me. All that will be taken care of before I sell that property to you on a warranty deed, right? So when I come to you and I say, hey, I want to sell property, and I ask you in the audience, District 7, do you want a warranty deed or a quitclaim deed? What are you going to tell me? You want a warranty deed because I told you what? You could sue me if I didn't clean up the issues? Is that why you want a warranty deed? Yes. You want the clear property. Well, guess what? I can give you a warranty deed right now to this church. It may not even own it. And then you're going to say, well, you said I could sue you, right? Because that's why you wanted the warranty deed. You sue me, I'm going to tell you like I told every other district, I got $5 in the bank. And that's what you're going to get. So the reason I say that is because, yes, you do want a warranty deed, but more importantly, what you want in connection with that warranty deed is title insurance. You should have wrote that word down. You want the title insurance because the title insurance is what protects your investment. The title insurance is what allows you to maintain that generational wealth. The title insurance is what's tied into that warranty deed that allows you to leave that legacy to your family. See, the difference with the title insurance in connection with the warranty deed is I gave you that warranty deed. I warranted to you that that property was free and clear, that you could go and sell that property after you bought it from me. You can pledge that property for a loan. And if for any reason there was any issues, my baggage, my old mortgage, my bankruptcy, if any of that came up while you were trying to maintain or sell that property, guess what? If you got title insurance, you're going to get more than $5 if there was a claim, if you had to bring a legal suit, if there was some sort of misdeed during the title search due diligence process. So what you want to keep in mind is anytime you're doing real estate on the front end, you want to be proactive and you want to think, yeah, I don't necessarily want a quitclaim deed. I want to do my due diligence. I want to hire a title company. I want them to do a title search, one of your key words that you should have wrote down tonight, right? We wrote that down. I want them to do a title search. That title search is, I want them to go to Mr. Kalogerakis' website. I got it right. I've been knowing him for a long time. And I expect that title company to pull down all the recorded documents that they accepted into their office and that they did an intake on, that they recorded. The title company will pull those documents down and examine those documents, something that the county cannot do, but the title company can do. Why are we examining those documents before we give you the product? Because we're looking for the legitimacy of those documents. We're looking to make sure that John can, in fact, sign that deed over to you because, yes, John does own it because we see a deed from Mary over to John. We see a deed from Beth over to Mary. It's basically connecting the dots. So when we're putting together a title search, we're looking at and we're examining the documents that have been recorded with the county. We're not only examining them for ownership issues, but we're examining them to make sure that the names match up, legal descriptions are correct, because everything isn't fraud. Some things are just clerical errors or just human error. We're looking to make sure that if it was 2 people in title, 2 people deeded out. If only 1 person deeded out, we may have a probate issue prior to whomever you're negotiating a deal with. So there's various things that we look for when we're putting together a title search, on top of making sure that folks don't have bankruptcies and open liens and they're transferring that to you. And once we've completed that title commitment, also known as a search, that's when we go discussing, okay, now you can give money in exchange for a warranty deed, and we give clearance for you to get title insurance. We take that search, we turn it into a title insurance policy where if you have any future issues, now you have someone to call and get more than $5 if it comes down to that. If you have legal issues, you have a company that you can pay, or a company, excuse me, that you've already paid for to fight your costs to defend any litigation. That's the importance of title insurance and why you want to do your due diligence and you want to involve a title company. Again, it's more so to protect your investment. Now, that's on the front end. I call that being proactive. Now, let's talk about some of the things that you want to do if you become a victim of fraud, or ways to prevent yourselves from becoming a victim of fraud. Obviously, we just don't know what goes on. Someone can go and record a deed against your property right now, so you're a victim of fraud. It happens. It's just no way around it. But in cases like that, you immediately want to contact the Wayne County Fraud Division. You immediately want to contact the legal team, and you want to take action with that so that you don't lose your home. But there's other things that you want to be mindful of. As Harry mentioned, you can go to the Wayne County site and you can pull down your own deed right now, you know. Someone else can go and record a deed, and they could be negotiating with you on saying, hey, buy this property for me, or there's some sort of documents recorded against your property. You can go and pull those documents, but if you don't know what you're looking at, or if you don't understand, then you may still become a victim of fraud. So you always want to keep in mind, I may need legal help. I may need to seek the professionals who can actually look at these documents. Trust no one when it comes to your real estate. I'll tell you, like I told everyone else, you look at your real estate, you look at your deed, regardless of the type of deed you got to your property, and you hold on to that the way you hold on to your credit, because that's what it is. It's that important. So there were some things that you were tasked with. What I asked you to do when you leave here tonight, first, you go home and look and see what type of deed you have. If you can't find your deed, you need to contact one of us on the panel so that we can get you another copy of your deed, so we can determine, do you have a warranty deed? Do you have a quitclaim deed? Perhaps you was in a land contract a long time ago and you paid that land contract off. Did you ever even receive your deed? Maybe you got the deed and it's not recorded. The deed needs to get recorded to prevent you from becoming a victim of fraud. Someone's doing a search on your property. They see that there's an old deed out there. They say, hey, I'm going to slide in a new deed right now and I'm going to sell this property. So there's some due diligence that you need to do as current homeowners, as well as those that are thinking about becoming homeowners, to protect your investments, to protect your potential investments. So again, we just got to recap real quick. Do we want a quitclaim deed or a warranty deed? Do we want warranty deed with title insurance?
Yes.
Always. What are we going to do tonight when we go home, D7? We're going to look at our deed and see what type of deed we have? All right. I'm going to stick around. I'll be here afterwards. If you have any questions, you want to go more into this. Always, this is an honor for me to sit here and do this with you, and those of you that are on Zoom as well. To find me, I'm with Detroit Title and Escrow. I'm one of the owners. Our address is 985 East Jefferson, Detroit, Michigan. We're right in the heart of the city. Our website is www.detroittitleandescrow.com, and the phone number is 313-846-5200. 313-846-5200. And I have pamphlets and other material for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Emma. Emma from Detroit Title and Escrow. Next, we are going to hear from probate attorney Suzanne Fanning, who is also going to give you some information about what to do to protect yourself from deed fraud and to protect your legacy going forward. Suzanne.
Thank you. Good afternoon, District 7. It's lovely to have you all here, and I want to thank Mary Walters for being here, as well as other council members. Commissioner, welcome. So thank you. And I am a probate attorney, so I'm going to add a little bit more information. But first of all, I want to tell you how important a deed is. So I'm going to have Harry, because I'm not going to, this is my deed.
We do.
Yeah. So this is how far I have a really, really old house. So that's why it's so big. And I framed it because it was too big. But I had a builder next door who was dodgy, and he knocked down a house and tried to build one, and those little stakes moved further and further over as they were building onto my property. Well, first of all, don't do that next to an attorney. I'm just going to tell you. But I whipped this off my powder room wall, and it has the original stakes in it. And actually, that's what won the case. I had them push back the boundaries. If it had got contentious, I would have gone straight to Emma for my title insurance so I could fight that fight. But this is, the Register of Deeds has this going back all the way to 1893. So that's why you need to know what your deed is. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to start off with is follow up from Mike, who gave some really good information on a ladybird deed. So I'm just going to expand on what Mike said. A ladybird deed is named after Lady Bird Johnson. That's why it has its funny name. She was the first lady, and she did this type of transaction. So it's been named after her. So it's a new deed. You have to execute a new deed. You know how you can put a beneficiary on a life insurance policy? If you have an annuity or some retirement, you can put your children or your spouse on as beneficiary. You can't put a beneficiary on your home. So what happens is people try and take care of all of their inheritance to their children by putting these beneficiaries, and then we have to go through probate for the home. A ladybird deed is a way to put a beneficiary on your home. It doesn't change your ownership. It doesn't impact your ability to sell your home. You can do whatever you want with your house in your lifetime. But what it says is, if I still have a house when I die, because it may be gone, but if I still have a house when I die, I want it to go to my 2 children. And it's very hard to challenge that. It's a wonderful way to pass your home directly to family members. It's a really easy deed to do. So as Mike said, I really encourage you to all do it. Fraud takes many forms, and unfortunately, from my perspective in probate court, it's usually family members committing the fraud. So if you ever had that story in your family about great-grandma or grandpa died, and everybody was surprised because the house went to Uncle John, then yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Because sometimes family members will take advantage of vulnerable elder adults, or maybe people starting to have some decline in their cognition, and they may have a power of attorney, and they may use their power of attorney to create a new deed that goes to them. Or they may use undue influence, if you've ever heard that term before. They influence their family member to turn over accounts or deeds to them. And the tricky thing is, in Michigan, you do not have to record a deed for it to be valid. So sometimes, especially in these dodgy situations, you've got a naughty family member, they won't record the deed, but when the person dies, lo and behold, they're like, the house is mine. You can fight it. When somebody passes away and suddenly there's a surprise, maybe the house isn't going as you thought your parent wanted it to, or some of the siblings are out, and you want to challenge it, you can challenge that deed in probate court if there are circumstances that make it seem that it was done fraudulently. You've got to be quick, though. You've got to go in fairly soon after that estate is open to challenge that deed, and then you can bring that challenge in court. So you do have recourse. The other thing I want to say is it's not fraudulent, but going back again to what Mike said about Home for Generations. I've been in Home for Generations for 9 years. It's a fantastic program. So it's typically when you're in the home, say that great-grandma owned the home, and her daughter moved in with her children or family to look after her, or had circumstances where they wanted to live in the home. And everybody in the family is fine with this. And then great-grandmother dies, and then her daughter dies, and we're down to that 2nd generation or 3rd generation. And again, the whole family is fine with being in the house, but the deed never transferred. The good news is there's no time limit on when you can open a probate estate. So say this happened 30 years ago. Don't be worried, you can open a probate estate, because what you have to do, and this is where Home for Generations is such a good tool, is you have to start transferring that deed from great-grandmother's estate to her daughter's estate to whoever would be taking now. So you can transfer the ownership, and that's critical because you want to have primary ownership of the home so you can lower your taxes, so you can qualify for maybe a roof program or some assistance with the maintenance. And you want to secure your right to pass that on. And that's that generational wealth we're talking about in the Black community, because you've been here through thick and thin. Let's keep that generational wealth going and growing in the city of Detroit. However, if you do that, and there are agencies that can help you, you must notify other people who might have an interest. So maybe there's other siblings or cousins, as you said in your Home for Generations. We have to track people down, or certainly we have to give them notice of what we're doing. I will be here. I'm going to give you my cell number if you have any questions, particularly for people on Zoom. My number is 734-558 7179. And I will also stay, if any of you brought deeds, as Emma said, it's critical to look at how you have the deeds. Sometimes I've had clients who are shocked who thought they owned a home jointly, and it turns out they didn't. And they always presumed they owned it a certain way. And then they're caught after somebody dies that they didn't own the whole home as they thought. So it's critical to know both that you have a copy of your deed and you know what type of deed it is, but also how you hold that home if you hold it with other people. So I can help you with that. I'd be happy to do it. Thank you for your willingness to come and be informed. And thank you so much for Mary Walters for spearheading this really important town hall. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Suzanne Fanning. Thank you so much. At this time, I would like to bring up the Wayne County Deputy Treasurer, Dawn Lee Cotton, who's going to talk to you a little bit about what you're going to do after you've made sure you've protected your deed, after you've made sure your property is in your name, and when those taxes are due.
Good evening, District 7. I'd first like to bring greetings from your Wayne County Treasurer, Eric Sabri. As she stated, my name is Dawn Lee Cotton, and I'm the Deputy Treasurer of Forfeiture Foreclosure at the Wayne County Treasurer's Office. You've heard a lot of good information on deed fraud, and I want to let you know how that correlates to the Wayne County Treasurer's Office, and that is, in order to get in certain payment plans, you have to own and occupy your home. So it is tax foreclosure season. And if you or anyone you know has delinquent property taxes, they have until March 31st. I'm going to do how they did with important dates. You have until March 31st to get those delinquent taxes paid, or your property will be foreclosed. We offer payment plans, as I just stated, that you have to have 100% PRE and they have to be owner occupied. So if you have a deed that's not in your name and you can't provide to show, to go to the city assessor's office to get your PRE, then we can't help you get a lower interest reduction payment plan or distressed owner occupied extension on those delinquent taxes. So we are here to help. We have knowledgeable staff members. We want to keep you in your homes. We don't want your homes. We want to keep the communities vibrant and thriving by having home ownership and people living in their homes. You can give us a call at 313-224-5990. Or you can email us at taxinfo@waynecountymi.gov. And I also want to talk a little bit about the probate. If you have delinquent taxes and you have recently started a probate case, or you need to start a probate case with Ted Phillips' office, we partner with them to get probate cases going. If you have delinquent taxes, can provide that you've opened the case there and have letters of authority and can show that that property is on the inventory list with that petition, we can possibly withhold your property from foreclosure during the pendency of the case, the probate case. So you have until when? March 31st to pay those delinquent taxes. Feel free to reach out to us. We are here to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Treasurer. So let me just say this. You forgot to say either to pay them or to make payment arrangements.
Yes, to pay them in full. To pay them in full or make payment arrangements by getting into one of the payment plans that we offer. So whichever suits you best, whatever we can help you with, whatever we can review with you to go over to see what works best, we are here. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Treasurer. Thank you so much. Now, You all have heard some really, really, really great information, and some of our panelists will be sticking around afterwards to speak with you. Now, because this stage got a lot of steps on it, I'm going to ask that our panelists who can remain behind would please come down to the front pews after we close the program to talk about any intake forms or anything that you may need. So, several panelists have given you a charge tonight, right? And I want you to keep that charge at the forefront of your mind. But at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Joanna Underwood so that if anyone has any questions, you may raise your hand. We have the opportunity to take about 4 questions, but please be mindful, we're broadcasting on Zoom, so do not spill the family tea if you don't want it everywhere. Joanna?
Thank you, Santana. And I just want to do a couple checkups with the information that we gave you. I know it's a lot. We got one more meeting. All these meetings going to be recorded. We're going to have the information after the deed fraud information sessions that we have done citywide. We're going to do a summary and everything. But I also want to tell you what I experienced as Councilmember Waters' housing specialist. A lot of times when people buy property from the Wayne County auction, you buy the property, most of the time in cash, you go down to the registered deeds office, you get it registered, and you don't go down to the city of Detroit and get a property transfer affidavit. If you don't get the property transfer affidavit, there is a fee and fine, okay? So make sure as soon as you buy a property, and all this information includes property and lots. So if you had side lots and you got quitclaim deeds, property and lots. This includes property and lots. Also, PREs. If you don't have a clean title, it's going to be difficult for you to get a PRE. We know for a fact there's over 5,000 homeowners in the city of Detroit. Well, we don't know if they're homeowners, but it's called heirs properties. And what Miss Attorney Susanna talking about, if the property is not in your name and it's your grandma's name, a great grandma's name, and I know how my people is, y'all don't want to change it because y'all think it's going to raise up your property taxes and stuff like that. Well, you can't apply for any resources from the city of Detroit if it's not on your name, okay? I know y'all like to put stuff in your name, but you got to put it in your name. And you do it as soon as possible because they are looking at those ODs. And like Attorney Susanna has showed that OD scanners, potential scammers, they looking at those ODs. They looking at, hey, nobody has did any action or activity on this deed for quite some time. Also, death certificates are public records. So they even going through the death certificates and looking at, see, oh, this house, this particular address is a death certificate with a person who's to live in this address. They got a deed, but somebody living in it. So understand how sophisticated these scammers are in the city of Detroit. Like I said earlier, it's 86 cases alone right here in District 7. 86 cases. Those are the people who just reported it. It could be more. So we're going to take 4 questions and then we're going to wrap it up. Anybody got a question? Don't be shy.
Okay, I want to ask the question, how do you go and do the Ladybird title that you was talking about where it could just transfer? If I passed away, my relative, it'll go right to my daughter or whoever. How do you go about making that transfer that from a quick deed title or warranty title to a Ladybird's title?
So I'm so sorry. I'm going to recommend that you go to an attorney. I think that does Lakeshore Legal assist with Ladybird deeds? So Lakeshore Legal would be your first stop. Because it's really important to have the language. It's the language in the deed that makes it a Ladybird deed. So you want to get that correct. I would go see an attorney, but as I said, Lakeshore Legal do that service. So that would be my first stop. But you have to execute a new will and take in your will that you your new deed, and take in the deed you have so that they can find the property description and the tax ID number, which is what they'll need to make sure they can do a new deed properly.
And he has intake forms. So you can actually, at the end, you can fill out an intake forms because he brought the intake forms along with him. All right, I'm going to go right here.
Okay, I'm wonder if you have like family members that have started in a slight dementia and they're not able really to contract or do anything to change their titles over or really do anything. What can you do with that in the family planning?
Attorney. Yeah.
So that's really difficult because you have to have capacity to enter into a legal contract like a deed. But in Michigan, the standard for understanding what you're signing changes depending on the complexity of the transaction. A deed is not the worst, sort of most complex type of decision. So if your family member maybe is in the early stages of very mild dementia, you know how dementia goes, good days and bad days. Sometimes they do have capacity, but I would be very cautious to think that somebody who has been diagnosed with dementia has the ability to really understand at that point that what they're transferring and the ramification of that. So typically, if somebody is past the point where they can really understand what they're signing, there's not much you can do, and the house would go through probate and it would be distributed through probate.
May I?
Yep.
I can't give legal advice and I won't, but the answer is please hire a licensed attorney in the state of Michigan that practices probate, specifically even in Wayne County. That person will be able to advise you directly of that information that you just spoke of and some of the remedies and protections for the incapacitated person.
I will add that there is case law that somebody under a guardianship can execute a deed. There is a basis, and as the judge said, an attorney may be able to also assist to determine if that family member has the capacity to sign a deed, because an attorney can testify at a later hearing that they had capacity to do it and they didn't have concerns. So the judge is absolutely correct. I would consult an attorney.
And I'll just add to that from a title insurance company standpoint, if we are presented with the task of having someone sign a deed and we get a sense that they don't really understand what day it is or who the president is, or they're talking a little bit out of the norm, we will decline facilitating the signing of a deed or closing documents. So it is best to seek legal guidance as soon as you notice those signs.
Sort of in addition to that, oftentimes incapacitated person has some assets that you need to sort of dispose of in order to pay for and take care of them. And so the guardianship, the conservatorship is important. Going through probate court, then you can ask the court, if you're the personal representative, whether you can sell the home so that the proceeds can help take care of the person who's incapacitated. So it is a process, and sometimes it's a very important process in order to be able to take care of your loved one.
And I encourage the elders in the house to do your estate planning. I know it's hard to give over power of attorney. Lord bless my mother. She didn't want to do it. She didn't want to give up power of attorney. But it's important that you get the loved one that you trust to do power of attorney of your affairs. Okay? We all got to go. We all got to go. Sometimes we can get an illness and sickness, and it will require somebody to take care of us. And we got to make those executive decisions. Just make sure you make the right decision and do it ahead of time so you and your heirs can be protected long after you're gone. We're going to take this one more question. I only take one more question, and then y'all can, they're going to come down and you guys to ask all your questions. We got plenty of time.
Okay, my question is, for the fraud alert, if you have more than one property, can you combine it when you're signing up for the alert, or do you have to do one individually?
The question was if you can put more than one property? Yes. You can do that. You can have more than one property. You can have more than one name too. And some people will use property alerts to monitor for an elderly relative, parents, aunts or uncles, those sorts of things. So you can put down more than one item for a property alert. What you would do is you'd create your account, which would be tied to your email with the password. And in there, you can have multiple criteria for an alert, which would be 3 different addresses if you own 3 properties. It could be you and your spouse. It could be, like I said, an elderly relative. Whatever is you want to monitor, you could put in there. You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone, for your insightful questions. Now, you all have been given charges today. What are you going to do when you get home? Check your deed. That's right. Then what are you going to do as well? You're going to go to the Register of Deeds and sign up for those property alerts, right? All right. I'm going to now pass it back to our lovely council members to close us out, while our panelists who are able to stay and chat will come down off of the stage to the far pew to prepare to receive us.
All right. Well, I don't want to keep you all too long from getting the information you need from 101. Who here learned something tonight? I hope every hand is raised. There you go. And who here has 3 people that they're going to share this information with? There you go. More. There you go. The commissioner is an overachiever. But I love it. I want to thank my colleague, Member Waters, for being intentional of not only having this event once, but also having this event across the city and being accessible to folks on this very important issue. I want to thank Santana and Joanna for all of your hard work on this. I know she came in, Ms. Bobby Johnson. I thank you for also being interested in this and pushing on this. I thank you all for coming out tonight. Again, this is the educational piece. I know there's much work, as we mentioned, there's legislation to be done to allow the Register of Deeds to actually check if accurate information is there. There's a lot of ideas around how do we take further steps to prevent deed fraud. And I know this impacts various levels of government. I know, I think with seeing all of the deed fraud town halls, Chairwoman Alicia Bell also let me know that she is putting together an event to see what they can go on the county level around deed fraud as well. So this is a conversation that needs to continue around the advocacy, the education, and the action on that. So again, thank you all for being here. I will let you know you can contact our office if you have any questions at 313-224-2151. Again, 313-224-2151. We have our staff here as well that can help you out also. So thank you all. Please stay connected. This Saturday, I know there's another deed fraud town hall. We also have a coffee hour in District 7 at 10 a.m. I'm forgetting the place because there are so many locations in my head. But we'll make sure to get that information out. But it's this Saturday at 10 a.m. on Schaefer. I just forget the name of the church. Metropolitan Church of God. Thank you. Thank you so much. On Saturday at 10 a.m. So hope to see you all out there, and I hope you all have a safe and blessed evening. Thank you.
All right. I just want to say thanks again to everyone for coming out to receive this most important information. And I have a very special thank you to our panelists. They've been sticking with us, standing with us, helping us out. Thank you all so much. So, do we have any victims in the house tonight of deed fraud? Any victims here? Oh, have one. All right. Now, I want you to make sure that you've leave your email address with us. Because what we want to do is that we intend to contact you and make sure that you've done the things that you are supposed to do. Check out your deed. Make sure that you register for the alert system. And if you need any assistance, Team Waters. You see Joanna Santana over there? They will assist you, as Jason back there and some of the others. We want to make sure that you do all of the necessary thing to protect generational wealth, to protect your legacy, and to make sure that you maintain your dignity. Because guess what? I mean, those scammers, they are so good at it. I mean, you would think they would use that energy to do some really good, positive things. But no, they're trying to figure out how to take your property. And people, it is running rampant in the Black communities in particular. And not just here in Detroit or in Michigan, it is a national issue as well. I received a message, a video from someone in New York City Council, people coming in talking about their properties and stuff. People are busy being thieves. So,
They tried to steal Graceland.
I'm telling you. Now you've got some geniuses there, but they're just using it the wrong way. So I just want to say thank you. We're going to make sure that we teach you how to sign up for the alert system. If you some people are intimidated when they get on the computer and so forth, but we don't want you to be. We need you to make sure that you register and do what when you get home, you're going to check for your deed, because you got to be able to protect yourself. So I appreciate that you're taking the time to come out to learn something, to become informed so that you'll know how to do this. Now, one final thing, the Michigan legislature is working on some legislation. They are. Harry, do you think that it's going to help to empower the Registry of Deeds a little bit more? I mean, because we need that. Yeah, and they said that they're going to make it tougher for people to take your properties. So I'm waiting. I think they said the package of bills will be ready by Monday. Well, I might want you all to testify about the importance of it, especially those who have been victims. I see we have one here tonight. We've had a victim or victims at each of our meetings. So we want you to testify so that the Michigan legislature will understand just how critical this is. All right? So make sure we have your email addresses so that we can reach out when the time comes as well. Thank you so much, Joanna Santana. All right, you can have it back now.
Let's give it up for our panel and council members one more time. Thank you, thank you. This concludes the end of this